All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey gang, Jim Jacobus. Welcome to today's No Hold Barred Q&A coaching session. Glad to have you guys on board here. We do have a particular agenda today, so let me kind of jump into it really quick. Got a little feedback last week or so that it's taking too long to get to the questions, and Q&A is running a little long, so we're going to do that right away, jump right in. And couple of things real quick. We're going to have some fun today. We're going to learn about social media, and I'm going to ask you to forgive me a little bit. I can tell my voice is scratchy. My wife thinks it's pretty sexy, but big time allergies the last couple of days, and it's starting to really affect my voice, so my apologies there. We are going to talk about social media today. It really kind of came out of a number of different questions we've had on the website over the last couple of weeks about social media as a sales tool. And I certainly think that's an important piece. I was actually doing a sales training program yesterday for Mercedes-Benz and had a couple of sales reps ask me what I thought about using social media as a tool for them to grow their book of business as a sales associate with Mercedes-Benz. And I actually think it's a great idea. So I'm going to do a little bit of an overview of it here. A couple of disclaimers I'll share before we get started. I'm going to give you a few guidelines about social media from my point of view. We're going to look at some key elements of social media, and then certainly glad to answer any questions that you might have throughout our time together. So that's kind of our agenda here. If you do have a question, you'll see there on your dashboard a place to type in questions. Feel free to go ahead and type those in down there. If you have a question at any point in time during this coaching session, feel free to type those in. I'm glad to answer them as best we can. So some disclaimers first. First thing is I'm not an expert at any of these social media tools. I would not claim to be an expert. There's tons of people out there that I think clearly are experts. I'm going to share some of those with you today. But I will tell you this, I am what I would consider a power user of a wide variety of different social media tools. And I kind of share with you how we use those today and kind of how we view those. Second thing, this is just what I know that works for us and for others that I coach and work with. So it may or may not work for you. I always tell people, take what seems to make sense to you and use it. And whatever we do that doesn't seem to work for you, just kind of get rid of it. We have a broad range of people on our calls. So some of this stuff may or may not work for you. But like I said, I certainly think it's something we need to take a close look at. There is no one way to do this stuff. One thing I have learned in building our membership site and all of the work we've done over the last 12 to 18 months is that there are a lot of different ways to get this done. Sorting through all of the information and finding out what works best for us has been, quite frankly, a lot of fun. We've learned a lot. We've changed a lot on the fly. And I think that's one thing about social media that is important, is that we stay flexible in our application and understanding of how to use it. And then the last thing I would tell you, if you need links to any of the stuff we talked about today, check the show notes on the webpage, and I'll have links to all of the different people that we reference here so that you can quickly access them. All right, quick little poll here. I'm going to kick off and find out quickly what is currently your favorite social media tool. I'm going to give you about 30 seconds to answer that. And again, you may use all of them, but which one is your favorite social media tool right now? All right, got some blogging, got some LinkedIn. Okay, a couple of folks on Twitter. Looks like most everybody's doing some blogging. Okay, got a couple more coming in here. One Facebook, one Twitter. Okay, cool. I'm going to close this thing here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, good to know. Really kind of just some information for me there as we go through our show together today to figure out how we can best help you guys. So here's some guidelines from the standpoint of using all social media. And again, this is my opinion. May not be your experience. If you have a different experience, please chime in here and share with us what your thoughts are. To me, I really look at a particular approach to content marketing done right. And I think when you're in the business of leveraging social media as a sales rep, whether you're a solopreneur or you're a sales rep for an automotive company or your sales rep for a chemical company or fill in the blank, I think there's a right way to do it. I want to make sure I give all due credit to Tom Antion, who I probably learned my initial social media content marketing information from. And Tom's point of view was this: if you give people tons and tons and tons and tons of great information, they'll allow you the privilege of marketing to them. So when we're talking about social media, our approach is to give people tons and tons and tons of great information, stuff they can use. And our deal is we don't hold anything back. We share our best stuff with you. We have a different formats for it. We've got the free format, we've got the paid format, but at the end of the day, it's all about sharing information. I don't know about you guys, but I struggle with those folks that send me one good piece of information and they're going to tell me how to do something, and they hold back the secret sauce at the end, or maybe they're going to teach you how to cook world-class barbecue ribs, and they give you all the information, and then they say for $14.95, I'll teach you what temperature to cook it at and how long to cook it for. Well, that information's not really all that great because I don't really know how to go cook world-class ribs anymore. The other folks that I struggle with are the folks who send me one decent piece of information, and then after that, they send me 10 pieces of marketing stuff trying to sell me something. I understand that, but at the same time, I don't tend to pay attention to it. Like I said, I think Tom was the best I've ever seen. If I get an email from Tom, I'm going to read it because it's always something that brings me value. And a good example of that, a year or so ago, Tom did a webinar on how to use YouTube more effectively, tips and secrets for YouTube. Well, the dadgum webinar was 2 hours long, and every bit of it was stuff I was going, wow, I didn't know that, I didn't know that, I didn't know that. I mean, it was all great information, and at the very end of it, Tom did sell a tool, how to make your YouTube videos look better. Well, you know what? I bought the dadgum thing. It was $49.95. I bought it because he did so much giving me great information. I wanted to buy it. So to me, when we're talking about using social media, it's all about being of service to other people, bringing value to them, and not just using it to try to get them to buy something from us. So that's our opinion about how we do content marketing, how you use social media. Don't do any of these unless you can do them right. All right, I would much rather you pick one of these social media tools and do it really well, as opposed to try to do 2 or 3 or 4 of them and do all of them on an average basis or poorly. So we really feel like it's important, if you're going to use any of these tools, to do them very well and to take advantage of all that they bring to the table. Consistency is the key. If you're going to tweet, if you're going to blog post, if you're going to use social media in any shape, form, or fashion, Facebook, LinkedIn, being there consistently is the key, and we'll talk about that in each one of the sections. And then I always tell people, pick a lane when it comes to what you're trying to share with folks. Have an attitude, have an opinion about it. And so pick a lane. Don't drive down the middle of the road. Don't be, the kind of person that doesn't want to share an opinion on whatever it is that you do. Pick a lane, and I always tell people, drive on the shoulder of that lane. It's more interesting that way to people than it is if we're just kind of laying information out there and we don't have any kind of an opinion about it, or we don't have any particular thought process about how that should be applied. And at the end of the day, circle back to the first thing: deliver value. Value in how we use social media. All right, quick little time out here. Anybody have any questions? Anything you want to share? Any thoughts so far? Okay. Give my voice a little bit of rest. Take a drink of water. All right, we'll push on then. Let's talk about Facebook. Facebook is a pretty interesting tool, and what I find out is that Facebook is primarily a great tool if you are going what we call business to consumer, B2C. B2B would be business to business. B2C would be business to consumer. And we do have a Facebook page that is specific to our business work. I also think that you should keep personal separate from business, although I've got friends of mine that do both, and they do it very well. But for me, I prefer that I've got my personal page, and then I put personal stuff on there and family stuff on there. But we also have an In the Sales Arena business page on Facebook. And I don't expect that I'm going to make connection with business owners and VP of sales and people like that on there in order to uh, make a connection around our sales curriculum design work that we do. But we do get a lot of people who join the In the Sales Arena premium membership from our Facebook page. One of the things I'll tell you is I don't think we're as consistent on there as we should be, but we're working on that. We're hiring some virtual assistant help to make sure that we're posting there more consistently. As we said, I don't feel like we're doing a good job of that. So, but I like keeping personal separate from business on there. The thing about Facebook I think is interesting and challenging is it's always changing. It seems like Zuckerberg and those guys are always changing the rules and always changing about what goes where. And at the end of the day, when you post, a very small percentage of the people that are following you who said they want to hear from you are actually getting the stuff that you post on Facebook. Plus, there's all kinds of different games you can play. And, a quick little note, when you see somebody that is asking a question of the day and it's, who do you think's a better guitar player, Clapton or, fill in the blank, and you pick Clapton over fill in the blank, all of those people that respond to those kinds of deals are actually building that person's social media credibility on Facebook. I don't like playing those games. I don't like doing that kind of stuff. I just like posting value and making sure people get something from it. Anytime somebody wants you to share or cut and paste, that's kind of what that's all about. So the rules are always changing on Facebook. We got to keep up with it. If you want to listen to somebody or follow somebody that's got great expertise on this, I absolutely love and adore Amy Porterfield. She has a blog and a podcast that I listen to regularly, and she's just outstanding when it comes to helping us get the most from Facebook. And again, I think you'll find her not only very, very knowledgeable, but I think you'll find her absolutely adorable to listen to. So that's Facebook. Now, my favorite business tool when it comes to social media is LinkedIn. This is primarily business to business, okay? And there is some B2C there. I do wind up with some membership growth out of LinkedIn. But what I'm really doing here is I am trying to connect with decision makers who would be interested in hiring us for the sales training design work that we do, or would want us to come in and speak to a sales team or speak at an event. So it's primarily B2B from the standpoint of what I think the leverage of LinkedIn is. I prefer keeping LinkedIn all business, okay, and no personal stuff there. I'm not going to post when I have a new grandbaby or anything like that on LinkedIn. I'm going to make sure everything that comes across the board on LinkedIn is business oriented. And so I like LinkedIn for that. One of the things that you can do is to consider starting a group, but don't start a group so you can tell them all about yourself. Start an affinity group in the area that you have expertise and attract people to that affinity group because there's a lot of information there. I was on LinkedIn the other day, and probably, gosh, it had to be 6 or 7 years ago when our son Jason worked in our business and everything. He started a LinkedIn group called Young Gun Sales. All right. And he ran that LinkedIn group for probably 18 months or so. And then when he left our business and went to work for Buckley Oil Company, where he is now, he actually stopped managing that group. I looked at it the other day. There are almost 3,800 members in that group. It's become a self-sustaining group, and I look through the content, and it's outstanding. So I think from a LinkedIn standpoint, it really gives us a chance to demonstrate our expertise. It gives us a chance to, when appropriate, reach out to appropriate connections. I stay in touch with a lot of old business connections there, people I've done work with in the past. I've got some great quotes from them, a lot of assistance in introducing me to other folks, a lot of referral business out of LinkedIn. So I like that. And like I said, I think starting a group is a really good idea because you can build a following there, not by talking about ourselves, but the key on LinkedIn is to find conversations and add value to those conversations and let people who hear you speak and hear you talk about your expertise say, I want to know more about that guy. I have a lot of messages out of LinkedIn from people who want to know about stuff we do when I post some of the things that we do here in our sales training packages. So I like LinkedIn for that. The guys at Social Media Examiner, Michael Stelzner, and those guys if you go to their website and you search LinkedIn, you'll find a real broad variety of articles and podcasts and stuff like that when it comes to expertise on LinkedIn. So I do like it. Again, we're trying to use it more effectively and become more active on LinkedIn. It tends to be the place I get most of the business from, but not as many brand new subscribers that way. Okay. There's a LinkedIn strategies group. If you are on LinkedIn, there's a great LinkedIn strategies group. It's got almost 50,000 members. And there's just some great inside stuff, strategic stuff, and things like that in the LinkedIn strategies group. All right, Twitter. Probably the one that we're learning the most about right now, and quite interestingly, getting a lot of traction out of Twitter without really being so intentional about it. I think it can be B2C, and I think it can be B2B. There's a lot we're learning about it right now. We just keep tweeting stuff out. Matter of fact, I'll tell you, I tweeted out the fact that we were doing this coaching session today on social media this morning, and we picked up 8 new subscribers to the website this morning, and I'm pretty sure it came primarily from that tweet. We're growing our following there. I'm very careful about who I follow. So I think it can be a B2B or B2C tool, either one. And you guys may have more expertise in that area, more thought about it. I prefer keeping Twitter all business. I don't tweet out about the Super Bowl. I don't tweet out about what I had for breakfast or anything. I'm only tweeting out links whenever they are specific to a webinar or a blog post or something like that. But I am consistently tweeting those out now, and I do see it growing our following. I do see it growing our subscribers to our membership site. So I'm really having a lot of fun with Twitter. And again, it's all about value, value, value. And one of the things that I'm finding is helping me a lot is hashtagging sales, hashtagging sales pro, hashtagging sales coaching on the tweets, and people are finding it that way. So if you're going to use Twitter, my encouragement is to make sure that you're taking advantage of the hashtag opportunities that it presents. I like listening to Jay Baer and again Michael Stelzner when it comes to Twitter. I like their voice on it. I like their attitude toward it, and I like following those guys when it comes to learning more about Twitter. Now, blogging. Do me a favor. I want to just get a quick catch here, and I want to give you guys a chance to interact. I asked a while ago, what's your favorite social media? And most of you said blogging. Do me a favor, raise your hand on your dashboard there if you currently have a blog. All right, raise your hand on the dashboard if you currently have a blog. Let me see how many of you do. I've got a lot of people on the call today, so let me give you a few seconds to do that. I can take a look and see. Okay, there's a couple of hands going up. Okay. All right, a couple more. All right, cool. A lot of people blogging. I really, I love Michael Hyatt. I'm a member of Platform University, and I love what he says about home base and about blogging as being an important tool. So just kind of a little bit of our experience from the blogging standpoint. It can be both B2B or B2C, either one. I think depending upon what you sell, what you blog about is going to be who you reach to. So it's in my mind, it is asking yourself, why am I blogging? What's the purpose of the blog? What do I want to accomplish from that? And mine is twofold. Mine is to serve our members, but also to get the attention of decision makers. And it's worked both ways for us. And kind of how we do that, I'll write a blog. I'll talk about the subject matter. I'll refer to sales training that we've done, and then I'll get a message or something like that. Hey, I'd like to know more about your sales training. That's how we actually wound up with our Mercedes-Benz account. We do regional sales training for Mercedes-Benz, and that came from a blog post. Somebody saw what we did, reached out, found me. We talked about it, and now we're doing work for those guys regionally. So it can be B2B or B2C, either one. We are growing our membership out of people who come to the free site, read the blogs and the podcasts, listen to the podcasts, and they come on over. I think if you're going to be successful at blogging, you've got to do a minimum of 2 times a week. Now, I will tell you this, I struggle to write. It is really difficult for me to write, so I do a couple of things. One is we're getting ready to start piling an entire focus into little 3-minute videos. If you go and online, you go to Convince and Convert, which is Jay Baer's website, and look up Jay Today, he does a 3-minute little video. And we're going to start duplicating that. It's a lot easier for me to shoot a little 3-minute video. I think it's more fun. I think it's easier for people to digest. It allows me to make sure I'm there more often. But I've also started including, with their permission, and if you guys have good content out there, email me and let me know. If it serves our clients, I'll be glad to post your post on my blog post. And what I do is I will simply cut and paste a paragraph, link to find out more about this post. I'll give it some kind of a little bump in front of it, telling them why I think it's good stuff. And then I'll post it on my website, but link them back to yours. I have no problem doing that. I linked something back to Gittimer the other day, and Jeff sent me a text message. He said, "Hey, man, thanks a lot for the shout out. Are you not worried that they might want my stuff instead of yours?" And I actually told him, first thing is I'm not worried about that. Second thing is if they like your stuff better than mine, I want them to have your stuff. All right, I want to be a resource to my people. I'm not protective like that. I don't worry about that. If Jeff can help them more than I can, I want Jeff to help them. So I don't have a problem with doing that. If you've got good content out there that would serve my readers, shoot me an email. Tell me what blog post you have that you think would be helpful, or if you've got a video. But again, keep in mind, value, 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 value. I would not post anything that marketed to them, but I could care less if they come to your site and they find marketing stuff. That's fine with me. So one of the things that helps me blog more often and keep our blog more interesting is using a blog post from other people. And we are now entertaining. I've had a couple of people ask me if I would consider allowing them to guest blog for us. And the answer is yes, absolutely. If you're interested in that, reach out to me. But again, understand this. I will only allow you to guest post on our blog if you bring value to the folks. Okay, that's the only way I'm going to allow that to take place. We have a brand promise that says that's how we do business. And if that works for you, I'm glad to have you or glad to consider it. If that doesn't work for you, I understand. It's no big deal. All right. Like I said, we're going to do less writing and more video. We're going to have a little more fun with that, make it really easy for me to make that happen. And then I think a blog allows us to become or considered an expert or thought leader. Now, in the sales training I did yesterday, one of the guys who is one of the top sales reps at the dealer we happened to be at yesterday said, "Do you think I ought to blog?" And I said, "Absolutely." And he goes, "What about?" I said, "Well, you could blog about Mercedes-Benz. You could blog about your dealership. You could blog about how to buy a car effectively. You could blog about a specific class of automobile. You could blog about any number of things as an expert in the business of buying cars. Matter of fact, I really think the thing I would do if I was him, I would blog about how do you buy a car? What's the right way to go and buy an automobile, whether you're buying Mercedes-Benz or not? And I think this guy is interesting enough that if somebody did read his blog and they were interested in buying a Mercedes-Benz, they would come to him. Regardless whether they are in the area where his dealership is. I think because he creates great trust in his clients, builds a great book of business that way, that's what he would do. Obviously, if you're a speaker out there, you do that. My son asked me, should I blog as somebody who sells chemicals? Yeah, I think you should. All right. I think you ought to blog about the industry. You ought to blog about certain things that are happening with demand of products and pricing. I think all of those could be a great tool for a blog, regardless of what you do. So, quick little deal here. Anybody have any questions about how you might blog based upon what you do? Anybody have any thoughts there or questions for me based upon what you do, whether I think you ought to be a blogger or not? Okay, I don't see any hands going up. Okay. Give you a few more seconds. Nope. All right. Bottom line is, I think the opportunity for blogging is to set ourselves apart. And I like the guys at Copy Blogger. I am a member of their authority website, and the resources there are just ridiculous. By the way, I have a membership site, but I am a subscriber to two different membership sites. I subscribe to Michael Hyatt's Platform University, and I'm going to tell you what, folks, for the $30 I pay a month, it is one of the coolest resources on the planet. I subscribe to Copy Blogger's authority website. It was $299 for a year, so $25 a month or something like that. And again, the content on there is so rich and so valuable that if I'm trying to figure out how to write a headline, I'm trying to figure out how to do this or how to do that, they're the place I go to resources for resources. I don't really necessarily watch every video that comes out, but it's a resource for me on both of those sites. So I love the guys at Copy Blogger. There's just so much good stuff there. I encourage you to check that out as well. So I believe you need a home base. I subscribe to Michael Hyatt's Point of View, and we use WordPress for that. I think it's really a great tool because from a WordPress standpoint, it's not only static, but it's also organic. If you look at our Sales Gladiator site, salesgladiators.com, that is done on WordPress. That is a full-blown, content-rich membership site with e-commerce and everything you can imagine on it, built on a WordPress platform. There's no limit to what you can do with WordPress. Now, are there other tools out there? Yeah. Do I know about them? No, I don't care. I'm not going to spend my time learning about Wix or anything like that, because for me, it is going to be WordPress. We're sticking with that. And by the way, we're redoing our jjacobus.com website. And I'm really having a lot of fun and excited about what you can do there. And we're using flip boxes and reveals, all from plugins that WordPress makes available. What I encourage people to do, if you can't afford it, you can start a WordPress site on your own. There's great resources out there that'll teach you how to do that. What I prefer to do is to hire somebody to do the architecture for me, and I'm going to share with you the guy that I use here in just a second, to build the architecture, and then I put the content in. He builds the architecture and he puts all the whistles and bells on there. I populate the content. So I like it that way because I want somebody that knows how to make it function on my team. But from the standpoint, I don't want to pay somebody else to put content in there. I'm going to do that myself. So that's how I think the best way to go is. But if you can't afford that, you can still build your own WordPress site pretty simply. And there's a podcast and a blog out there, WordPress for Beginners. And I subscribe to those guys. I listen to them. They're free. And a lot of good stuff there. So hire the architecture, do the rest yourself. It can be as big as you want it to be. Again, when you go to our salesgladiators.com site, that is a WordPress-based site. And all of the content on there and all of the pages on there and all of the posts on there, we manage using WordPress and plugins. The guy that I use is Rob at Red Pup Media. And boy, what a great dude he is. I was over here a week ago Monday. We spent about 7 hours working on the jjacobus.com site. And man, I watch this guy do stuff. He is a genius. He literally was an Apple genius before he got into building websites. He only builds websites on WordPress. And his whole value proposition is, I'll build it, but teach you how to run it. And for me, that's the most efficient and effective way to do this. And so I really like Rob at Red Pup Media. All right. That's it for the content today. I still have a voice. Any questions you guys have? Okay. Questions anybody has? Any comments that you have? This is where we can kind of dig into what would be helpful for you. And I probably ought to have planted some questions in the audience, but I did not today. So anybody have any questions? Yes, no, maybe. Okay, I'm not seeing anything pop up here. Somebody make up a question. All right. By the way, whenever I'm doing this, anybody use GoToWebinar, you know this, I can see how many of you are actually watching the screen and how many of you are multitasking. So it doesn't hurt my feelings, but I do know that. Do I use Hootsuite? George, that's a great question. I don't, and I tell you why I don't. I did use it. I don't use Hootsuite. For those of you who want to know what Hootsuite is, it does a lot of different things. It kind of combines all your social media. What it does give you the ability to do that I think is very interesting, or at least I found interesting, and I'm not doing it for this reason anymore, is that you can schedule tweets, you can schedule LinkedIn posts, you can schedule blog posts, you can schedule Facebook posts and all that. So that if you create some content, you can have it post on Twitter 3 times a day over the next 5. I mean, you can do all that. But one of the things that I learned is that those posts on Twitter or LinkedIn or Facebook don't get valued as much as when you post directly. So I still use it, yes, to push a lot of content out. But I make sure if I have a post that I'm going to put on Facebook 3 or 4 times through Hootsuite, that I will at some point in time go and post that direct as well. Right off of my WordPress site, I will post it direct there. I do post multiple places off of my Twitter account. I do have that post to LinkedIn and post to Facebook as well. So I like Hootsuite, but I try not to overuse it because I want to make sure to get as much value from the posts, that the algorithms don't discount the content I put up on the various sites because of coming from a tool like Hootsuite. Okay, does that help you with the question? Okay, any others here? What about podcasting? Yeah, I didn't put that down as a social media tool because I think it's more of a content tool, but absolutely. Podcasting is kind of its own world. I really enjoy it. We are getting a ton of traction from the podcast. It's really beginning to pick up speed on iTunes. If you have not done this, do me a favor if you want to. Go to iTunes, subscribe to our podcast. I think it's one of the best ways we push out content on a weekly basis. And if you just want to do me a favor, go to iTunes and give us a 5-star rating to push us up in the content categories, if you will. That's been very helpful here lately. A lot of people have been doing that. We really appreciate it. So it's making us easier to be found, and it's helping grow our business. But yeah, I love podcasting. It's a lot of fun. We're really having a good time with it. It's really helping us grow our business. So yes, I do think podcasting is absolutely a must. Does Rob do e-commerce? Absolutely. Great question there. Yeah, Rob is my guy on that. By the way, we integrate with Infusionsoft. But yeah, Rob does helps us with e-commerce, shopping carts, the whole 9 yards. Again, he is well-versed in all things WordPress. And what I will tell you is this: anytime I bring him an idea, he's not familiar with it, he is excellent at research. I feel bad for him because I'll read an article about something about WordPress, or I'll read about a plugin and I'll send him a link and I go, hey, what about this plugin? I just sent him a deal the other day about if you've seen the floating social bars that they have on websites and everything, where, when you're scrolling, the social bar stays up on the left-hand side. Well, I sent him a text message and I said, hey, what do you think about this? And he texts back, he says, that's up to you, he said, but here's my thought about it. And I always listen to him. He says, one, the social bar makes your site load slower. And second thing is, I think it's intrusive. All right. If you're good at what you do, they'll find out. Okay. Put it at the end of every article, put it at the end of every page, make it easy to find. But he didn't like the intrusiveness of the social bar floating on the page. So I happen to agree with that once he kind of shared that with me. Okay. Good question there. But yeah, Rob does e-commerce, very, very good at it. Any more questions? Anything at all? Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and shut it down if we don't have any more questions. I'm gonna keep ending everything with this. I want you guys to know where we're coming from. This is our really hope for you this year. If you're brand new in sales, you're brand new in speaking or training or consulting, or you're just kind of getting started, we want to help you build a platform or a foundation to build a great sales career and build a great life. So if you're brand new, I had some sales associates in the class yesterday who were brand new. And man, what sponges they were. It was really kind of fun to share with them all kinds of good stuff. So that's our hope for if you're brand new. If you are what I call stuck in the middle, you've been at it a while, which I think is the place that is the worst. I think being in the middle and looking up and seeing successful people and the lifestyle they live and the freedom they have and being stuck in that middle, I think that's the worst place to be. There are reasons we get stuck in the middle, and we want to be a part of helping you get out of there. We want you to go to the top and experience the best of the best in your life and your career. And if you're at the top and trying to figure out how to stay there, we want to help you. We don't want to just help you stay there. We want to help you blow the top off of any numbers that have ever been done in the business that you're in. So that's kind of our hope for you this year. I am so appreciative of you guys taking time to be with us today. This keeps growing every week. We're keeping track of the numbers. The membership site's growing like crazy. All of our everything's growing like crazy. So thank you. It wouldn't happen if you guys weren't so cool. And we love you and appreciate you. I appreciate you taking the time to spend with us today. And if you've got any questions, we can help you anyway. If you've got questions for future episodes of the coaching call, go to www.thesalesgladiators.com/QIF. That stands for questions, insights, and feedback. And let us know what would help you. We'll either answer that on one of these. I'm doing a podcast this week about something came up on the website there that somebody posted. I really appreciate it. Tell us what you need. Tell us what will be valuable to you, and we'll be glad to do that. So thanks so much. Appreciate you guys. Now go out there and do something significant this week to help build your business, build your career, and build the life you want. What a pleasure it is to be with you. Thanks a lot, gang.